In this video, we're going to look at how to make the left-leaning dip stitch. And you can see in the rows below, we've made the right-leaning dip stitches, and now we're working on the left-leaning ones. So my pattern tells me that I'm going to count to the second stitch on my right-hand needle and count 4 rows below that stitch to make my left-leaning dip stitch here. So I'm just counting the holes in the center of the stitches to 4 rows below my needle. And then I'm going to take the tip of my right-hand needle and pull that back on itself to enter that stitch and pull the loop of yarn through. And then I'm going to bring the tension out so that it matches those on the right-hand needle. And be careful not to tug on the yarn when you make that next stitch, because you don't want to tighten up the loop that you've just pulled through. So that's what that looks like. We're just going to make a few more of those here, counting 4 rows below the second stitch on my right-hand needle, inserting my right-hand needle into that stitch and wrapping the yarn and pulling it through until the tension matches the other stitches. Again, being careful not to pull on the yarn when you make that next stitch. And these are going to look a little bit funny until the next round when you decrease those extra stitches you're making, but just continue to watch your tension as you pull the loop through to make this left-leaning dip stitch. And if it's awkward for you, which these left-leaning ones can be a little bit, you can even use a crochet hook to help you pull the loop of yarn through the stitch. Now I've reached the end of my round, and we're going to look at how to decrease these stitches. So I'm going to take that left-leaning dip stitch and I'm going to knit together with the next knit stitch through the back loop. So when I hit that next dip stitch, I'm going to knit 2 stitches together, both the dip stitch and the next knit stitch, through the back loop of those stitches. And that's going to tie the dip stitch back into my fabric, decrease the extra stitch that I've made, and help that stitch lean left. So you'll just keep doing this all the way to the end of your round, of course following your pattern. These dip stitches can look different and have different math involved. You might have to go more rows below than you're seeing here. But this creates the left-leaning dip stitch, and that should give you a good start.